Thank you for showing up. I'd not ever thought about doing chickens, and in 2013 my husband and I decided we were going to sail around the world, and we took a year and a half of 15-hour days and finally got a boat ready and sailed. We got down as far as San Diego and then took off across the open sea into the South Pacific, 28-day passage to the Marquesa Islands. Never saw a chicken all the way down the coast, but as soon as we got to the islands, there were chickens everywhere. And in the Marquesas, they use chickens at the town dump to make sure that the dump stays clean and doesn't have rats and things like that around, because the chickens will eat the mice and the baby rats and take care of all of the composting that's done on the whole island. And then we went into the Tuamotus. Imagine visiting an island with population 10 and an elevation of 36 inches, and chickens taking care of the hermit crab infestations and everywhere. The woman says, "Would you like to stay for dinner? That one hasn't been laying for a while now." And chickens were everywhere we looked. And when we decided to end our trip early and come on home after just putting 15,000 miles under the keel, the first thing we wanted to do when we got home was to start preparing for chickens. Now there's a right-hand arrow. So maybe you can help me with the arrow piece.
This one right here.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
That's what the uncle showed me. Oh, weird. There we go. Okay.
So my husband, who has a tendency to do things really well and not do anything partially, built this Taj Mahal. And the Taj Mahal is beautifully designed to bring in some solar in the winter, but not in the summer. It has 2 different sets of nest boxes and is organized so that we can separate different kinds of birds. Down the center of the coop, we can add some fish net that you can get for free from the harbor, and separate the coop into 2 sections so that you can have meat birds or a younger flock if you've got introducing chicks, and being able to separate the 2 pieces meant that your older hens aren't going to pick on any babies that come along until they can get acclimated to each other and they can see each other through a net. Each corner of the coop has double doors so that you can put a fence around one side of the coop on any area and let chicks out one way or another. And the windows on the south side make sure to bring good warmth in the window. It's even insulated, but of course, you know, chickens do have a down coat, so they don't really need that, but it is insulated. It keeps the heat out in the summer. Lifting the feed up off of the bedding means that you don't have as much contamination into your feed. And one of the ways to make sure that feed gets used all the way is to put water in the feed, let it sit for 24 hours, and then put it out. So each day's feed is prepared in the morning for the next day, and that tends to ferment some of the feed, and all the fines that the chickens often ignore actually get ingested that way. So you have a higher level of nutrition because they're eating it all, and you have a higher level of nutrition because fermentation adds nutrition. The garden itself is 3,500 square feet. The hoop house gets a plastic cover on it quickly before the squash take over and you haven't any place to put your feet to work. But it comes off during the winter to make the plastic last longer. Each section of the garden on either side of this gate is doubly fenced with about a 3-foot section in between the two lines of fencing. It's called a chicken moat. And the chicken moat means that when the garden's in full production, the chickens can be confined to just the moat. And in doing so, they're able to prevent bugs that migrate in by crawling in the ground. And they do a slug patrol and all kinds of things for the critters that come in sideways. The double fencing also works to keep deer out. Your fence doesn't have to go near as tall when it's got that visual depth. The deer don't want to go over that. I've never had a deer in my garden, ever. And although it takes a little bit of effort to put in at first, it's really helpful to have a good pasture for the chickens, and helps them keep the bugs out. Oops. In the winter, when I've still got things like carrots to dig and Brussels sprouts to pick, I'll take an electric fence and protect those items, and I'll plant them next to each other each year so that I don't have to have weird spots of fences all over the place. But my winter crops that I want to be able to continue to harvest can be separated out with electric fence. You don't have to electrify the fence and mess with that. Nice thing about electric fence is it's easy to install. In 5 minutes I can get it up and working, and all of those things that I want to protect for the winter are protected from the girls. But they have at it for the rest of the garden. You can see this was taken about a month ago. You can see the garden has been cleaned. The top inch has been scratched and dug and debugged and de-seeded, and they've taken care of to do the first culling of any kind of plants that come up. And it's amazing how much weed seed and baby weeds that they take out of the garden for us and keep our garden from us having to do that work. That's a shot of a section of the chicken moat, but recognize that chicken moat goes all the way around a 3,500 square foot garden, so it's a pretty good sized moat. And we'll run 12 to 15 birds in that moat through the summer, and sometimes take them out under the orchard as well. You don't have to have fancy equipment to do it. This is 2 apple trees that are backside of the house, and for 4 or 5 weeks in the winter, we'll take and put them underneath the apple trees with an old box crate for a nesting shed that they climb into at night, and they completely clean everything underneath the apple trees and keep it from getting all kinds of the bugs that bother the apple trees that settle into the ground during the winter are now eliminated, and our apples stay pretty clean and don't have to be sprayed. Main thing about making chickens work for you is that they love the work, and it doesn't take much work on your part to have them do your extra work. They shouldn't have to be just a chore. They can be a partner in keeping your place weed, seed, bug free in lots of different ways. So enjoy your chickens. That's it. Good luck.
Yep, I need your...
Oh yeah, I almost forgot that. I can't see it. There, that's that part. And there's that part.
Thank you. don't know.
This is fun. His slides are empty. 1 second. I put your PDF in here.
Okay.
Just want to make it bigger. Can you guys see that pretty good? We're gonna do a workaround. Okay, so I think you're gonna push. Yeah, you're
Still
you're
doing-
oops. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So you're still just gonna push that button.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay.
is that high enough?
Yeah. Okay. I'll just give you a quick walkthrough of kind of how we raise birds on a more commercial scale. You can see, so this is like half of our farm. You can see the pens on pasture that we move every day. And yeah, let's see. Yeah. Let's see, so we both hatch our own eggs as well as ship in chicks and breed some of our own. It's a mix of both right now. We mainly raise chickens for meat. So that's one of our 6 machines we use, 7 machines now that we use to hatch eggs. We can hatch about 3,000 eggs at a time right now, something like that. And then after they hatch, then these ones we shipped out to multiple farms across the country. And we'll be hatching weekly this year, hatching about 200 chicks a week for other farms, as well as shipping in about 6,000 chicks that we will raise ourselves for meat for sales around here and throughout Seattle and pretty much throughout the state. You can see that these are a new breed that we will talk about as we get more into the slides that we have brought in from BC. This is where we brood most of our chicks. You'll note the heat lamps that are set to kind of turn on and off to conserve power. We've got the feeders set up in a square for when the chicks first arrive so that they, no matter where they go, there's always feed for them to access, as well as we put down either cardboard or paper and spread feed for them the first few days, just so there's no chance they can miss feed. And you can also see the hoses feeding the water lines, so they have a constant source of fresh water, and we don't have to haul any water by hand whatsoever, which is a very nice feature. So we brood them for about 3 to 4 weeks. So you can see this is the other side. The first photo was on one side, and this is the other side of the building. These are 2-week-olds, so we start to take away some of the heat at about 2 weeks, introduce larger feeders so they don't ever run out of feed, add lots of bedding as they need it. We just build it up throughout the batch, and then remove it after each batch, clean, disinfect, put down lime, barn lime, to actually kind of kill off anything that might have been in there, kind of keeps it fresh and clean. We have fans in there to bring in lots of fresh air, keep it so it smells nice and clean. These are our pens on pasture that we rotate every single day. They're on skids, have tarps over them. They're a converted kit that we have bought, and then we add more pipe to and kind of beef it up. We tow them with our tractor, and we're going to be running about 16 of these this year. You can see the white barrels are for the water, so we just have hoses running all over the farm and every day fill that up. So that's about 2 days worth of water, so they don't ever run out of water. And then the inside of the pens, you can see those barrels feed to, you can see the small red bell water on the left side, as well as the red feeders inside there. We also make sure to give them grit. Just because they're raised on pasture doesn't mean they're going to find enough rock to be able to grind up their feed with. So we have to feed them grit also. We raise them out for about 9 to 10 weeks. Let's see. It's the back of the tractor, which you can see we have skirting that we put around both the front and the back, just to make sure nothing will try to dig under it, or birds will try to escape, or if a bird accidentally gets stuck as we pull the pen to the next spot, it can just kind of roll under and not get squished by the tractor itself, which is never a great day. We usually, one person will be on the tractor and one behind the pen to kind of scoot them forward a little bit, kind of let us know when the pen's all the way to fresh grass. And then the end product that we sell through our farm store, that we ship all over the state, provide to other businesses. We used to process on farm, but found that trying to run multiple businesses at the same time and have a life outside of the farm was a little too much. So reduced that to mainly just the farm business, and now take them off farm to get them processed. Let's see, so we get them broken down into breasts and legs, wings, sell the heart, liver, neck, feet, pretty much anything you can to make a little bit of extra. Let's see, and you can see a little bit of chicken in our freezer there. We'll have like 5 tons of chicken in there at the end of fall, because we don't raise throughout the winter. We just raise spring through fall and then freeze everything and sell that throughout the winter. Try to fill up the space as best we can. As you can see, it's a little tight. So this is the breed that we just brought in out of BC last year. And we've been wanting to breed our own chickens for meat for many years, and we're able to become friends with one of the only independent outfits that has breeding stock in the country, or in North America. And we're able to import them last year, and now have started to breed these and cross these with other chicken breeds and create our own meat bird that we can raise out in a pretty quick amount of time, and they're super healthy and do really well on pasture. And yeah, now we have chicks going out to Alabama this last month, South Dakota this next month, all over the country. We're also doing quail in a free-to-fly system instead of in a cage system. So they're basically allowed to run around, dust bathe. We're wanting to start eventually to sprout grain for them to give them some greens while they're inside. But quail are a little hard to raise outside as they don't really have any homing instincts. They will not come home at night. They will just be gone, or something will eat them, or everything loves to eat quail. And yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So we have 5 minutes for questions. So if anyone would like to ask Virginia and David,
thanks.
we're going to share the mic up there, and I will come around.
Biosecurity.
What did she say?
But
I didn't hear the question.
Biosecurity.
biosecurity.
Yeah, well, from wild birds specifically.
Okay. You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
We have a 3-acre pond not too far from the garden, and so we don't let our birds run totally free because we don't want them going down where the ducks are. And we have a lot of wild ducks, about 10 months, 11 months out of the year. The hawk does come by every once in a while, and that is predation that we get. And when we've had a hawk take a bird out, which happened just this week, first time in a couple, 2-3 years, but it does happen. Then we'll put our birds back into the chicken moat for several days to make the hawk think, oh, this is not good hunting. Because they can't get at them when they're remote. They can get at them when they're in the garden. So we will remove the chickens from the garden, even though it's good time for them to be there if there's been a hawk crossing. Otherwise, we don't seem to have any kind of bio troubles. We had trouble with rats once, came in on a bale of hay, and we trapped them and tightened up our security and didn't have trouble again after that.
So yeah, we also have a pond on our farm that we have to keep an eye on, make sure there's no ducks that are hanging out there. We really have never had issues with disease, and feel that's because we make sure to raise our birds just make sure that their health is as good as it can be. Best feed, being on pasture, all of that. We do make sure that if anybody comes onto the farm, that we disinfect their shoes, make sure no disease can come on. Yeah, just pretty much practical, just making sure no disease can be there, but also just making sure the birds stay that their health is as high as it can be. So.
Thanks. Any more questions?
David, why have you chosen the Maestro, is that what you're pronouncing, over Cornish or the Rangers?
So Cornish I have raised thousands of over the years. They're an awesome bird for what they have been bred to do, which is produce meat in a very short amount of time. I was tired of dealing with heart attacks and leg issues and just a bird that doesn't seem to be happy living outside. These are basically the same as a Freedom Ranger. They grow a little bit faster, the breast is a little bit larger. Mainly I have them because they're the only thing I can actually get the purebred stock for. I can't get a small, I have to get like a truckload of chicks for the other one and spend 100 grand to be able to get breeding stock for any other type of breed, basically. And I don't have I'm not able to own the full set of genes for it, so.